Hey there, everyone. This is Rick back with a update on the JNL 58 project. This is March 24th of 2017, and as you can see, the frame is back from Reichert Industries. It went to Reichert to have this rear extension welded back on. The old one had been cut off here, and to have that piece of 4-inch plate welded on the front to replace the steel that had been removed from the front as well. Now that the frame is back here, we're getting it ready to put the drivers back on. The drivers came back in yesterday from City Machine Technologies in Youngstown, where they had machined the tread surfaces of the four wheels, pressed the drivers off the axles, disassembled the roller bearing, driver boxes, cleaned everything out, checked everything, pressed it all back together, and then shipped them back over to us. So we will put those back in, but we had an issue here, which is on this locomotive, the frame in the back here is rather weak. It's pretty thin right here, and a lot of the strength goes through the binders. Well, over the years of operation, as this locomotive would move ingot mold trains around, it banged back and forth against the frame so much that there was about 1/8 of an inch gap on both sides here, so that this frame would kind of flex a little bit. So we went and building this up with weld, and build up the corresponding surfaces on the binders, and the binders are being machined down to the width of this, so that when we put them back on, they'll fit in there much more snugly, and that won't cause us any trouble. When I was taking the studs out, one of the studs broke off. This one right here broke off about 1/4 inch in. So I'll have to get in there and drill that out and coax it to get it out and put all new studs in. We'll do the same new studs up front as well. We did start a couple days ago putting some of the valve gear components back on, the reverse link hangers, and the cross piece there for actuating the valve gear. All of this is now in and ready to go. All of the spring rigging components are inside. I've cleaned them and primed them and painted them. I'll soon be putting all this back on. We had to make a new pin and bushing for the equalizer here. That'll be put on pretty soon. The next big purchase we have to make is the piece of 2-inch plate which forms the bottom of the rear platform. Got to get that piece in and then figure out a way of mounting that plate to the frame. The way it was originally done is that there were bolts that went down through the plate into the frame, and then it was all welded on. Well, I want to make this rear platform a removable section so that you could remove some bolts and then basically pull the locomotive out from under the rear platform. Mainly because if we have to pull the drivers off this thing in the future, I don't want all this extra weight. You know, if we have to take the binders off to take the drivers out, I don't want all this extra weight pushing down, and you know, with the fear of bending this. So that'll be removable. But until I get the plate here, I haven't figured out exactly how we're going to put that on the best way so that it can be taken off. So over the next couple of weeks or so, I mean, we're starting to get into better weather now. Finally, in better weather, I can work much faster than I have been over a winter. I expect that we will have the drivers back on before too long. We'll have the pedestals, binders, that problem fixed, have those back on, get the locomotive down on its own wheels, and then the installation of the side rods is going to go pretty fast. The pistons and rods, piston rods are machined, they're ready to go back on. We've got a little bit of work to do with getting the piston rod packing, and then basically it's just going to be cleaning parts and putting the valve gear and the valves and all that back in, putting all that back on and getting it ready to go. As soon as we get all that done, then we'll set it up so that we can test it on air, and try to run the engine back and forth a little bit on air, and get this rear platform done, get the cab done. Hopefully by then the boiler is finished. We can bring a boiler back over, put it on, and then the last thing is the saddle tank, and it still needs some work done to it to get it ready to go. But this being almost the 1st of April, we've got about 5 months before September, when we're planning on having it operational. So I think in 5 months we'll be able to get that done. Our fundraising has been going rather well. We were very successful with the first set of HK Porter shirts that we sold. We have another design, which is a J&L narrow gauge shirt, that we will be doing a booster fundraiser on that. I also have extras of that shirt here at the museum. And also, if you want to come out and see the locomotive, we're going to try to be here on weekends as much as possible. I will update the Facebook page with the exact days that we'll be here. And there's sometimes we can't. I mean, the first Saturday of the month, we usually go down to the Hocking Valley Scenic to help them work. We work on number 3 down there with the crew. And sometimes there are other Saturdays we have to go off-site doing other things. But we're going to try to have regular open days here on weekends. And if you want to come out and visit, if you want to come out and volunteer, we've got a lot of stuff to do. We have 175 feet of track to build so far. We still have work to do on the locomotive. That would be the time to do it. Okay, here we have the 4 springs, and I've been soaking them in used motor oil to get that oil worked down in between the leaves. I also exercised them on the H-frame press, so none of them are stuck. And let's see if we can get around here to see the front. So we've got the smoke box door on, and then this piece of 3/8 inch plate, which will form the front bumper. And coming out onto the ready track area, there's the H-frame press set up there for doing the springs. And we're borrowing these 2 bottom dump cars from the Buxtehude and Western. And we will be using these for doing ballast work. And we have some extra wheel sets there. And then we come out on the through the curve onto the main line. We've got the grade crossing to fill in. Got this little bit done. We'll fill this in with stone, create grade crossing for the back road. And then you can see the right-of-way has been dug out and stone put in, and it's 175 feet from this point out to the access road for the neighbors. The track will run out that far. About halfway out there'll be a trailing point switch. We'll go off to the right, and that track will then come back down through here and over onto the other side of the hot metal train. And there'll be a tail track that'll run right down to our property line. And then there'll be a switch about right here, and that track will go up the hill and to another tail track, and then swing back at the top, another grade crossing up there, back to where these containers are at. The containers will be reconfigured, and there'll be a couple of tracks that'll actually run into the containers, and we can store cars and equipment inside there. Well, that is all we have for you today in this update of the JNL 58 restoration project.